Okay, I think we'll just begin now. So hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Let me know if you guys can hear me or can see me. That would be great. So I'm Melanie and I'll be taking you through today's live trading analysis session. So first things first, before we start as usual, here's a disclaimer. All the information expressed in this presentation is solely those of the presenter, not necessarily those of Vantage, and is solely used for educational purposes, and is not investment advice nor consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. So keep in mind that trading carries significant risk and is not suitable for all investors, and you should do your own relevant research before and to fully understand the risk before deciding to trade. Okay, so you can quickly pop in any requests that you have for you can pop in the chat any requests you may have for anything to trade, and then we will go ahead and get started. Okay, so before I get started, here's our analyst team. So we have Desmond, who's our chief trader and CEO of our company, Everest Fortune Group, who are finalists for Best FX Research in 2019, 2020, and 2021. So this is me. I'm Melanie. I'm part of the team as well. And okay, without further ado, let's quickly get started. Okay, let me pull up my trading view. So if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to leave them in the chat and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Okay, let's start with a major currency. Okay, my charts are taking a while to load today, so bear with me. Okay, so first things first, let me remove all of my prior analysis. Okay, so let's begin by checking out our weekly time frame so that we get an overview of how our general trend of the charts. So we can see in recent prices recently going up on the weekly time frame. So now let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, so similarly on our weekly time frame, we can see prices heading upwards. Let's see if I can get a trend line. Okay, so let's see if our price is currently moving in a parallel channel. Okay, it isn't, but we know that price is moving in a trend line because for a valid trend line, we need 3 significant touches. So you can see over here, price has touched once, twice, and 3 times. And we can see a little bit of a price breakout over here. So let's zoom into our 4-hour time frame for more in-depth analysis now. Okay. So here I have the same upward trend line. Price has recently bounced off of the trend line. Okay, so now that we have a general idea of the trend, which is upwards, let's find some support and resistance levels. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a support level over here. Let me just check the chat for any questions so far. Hi, Sean. Can I help you with any, do you have any questions for me? You can just pop that in the chat. Okay, so let's take a look at some more support and resistance levels that we can use as our take profit or stop loss. So I'm going to zoom out and see if this is a significant level. So I can see price has tested this level a few times. And price is currently pulling back to this resistance level. So this could be our first resistance. So now I'm going to be looking for a support level. Okay, there aren't really any significant support levels that we can use. So I'm going to be using our most recent swing low over here. Okay, so now that we have our support levels and our general trend of price, let's pull out some Fibonacci levels. So here we can see price recently bounced off of our 161.8 Fibonacci extension. Let me clear the other levels so it's easier to see. And over here, you can see a very clear Nike tick as well. Inverted Nike tick. Okay, so price has reversed off of this level and is now heading towards our first resistance. So let's see if we can find any levels that line up with our first resistance. Okay, so our 61.8% Fibonacci projection level lines up nicely with the first resistance at 0.7 at our 0.7 level. Okay, so we can expect price to move up towards our first resistance. So now that we have that, our support resistance levels, our Fibonacci levels, let's pull out some indicators to support our analysis. So firstly, I like to use the Ichimoku cloud. So we can see here, the Ichimoku cloud is a really easy way to see at one glance whether price is bullish or bearish. So in this case, since price is moving below the Ichimoku cloud, it actually does not support our bullish bias. So let's go ahead and pull out some more indicators. So MACD is also another easy way to see at one glance whether it's bullish or bearish. In this case, we also have a bearish bias. So there are many indicators that you can use over here. We typically like to use the MACD, Ichimoku, RSI, and stochastic. But because there are so many indicators, do let me know in the chat as well which indicators you like to use. But there's a 50% chance of it supporting either a bullish or a bearish bias. So it's more about your preferences and what, depending on your own trading strategy. Okay, so now let's take a look at RSI. So you can see RSI is pushing below this line over here. Okay, let me increase the size of this. So this actually has a bullish bias. So this supports our analysis. So let's take a look at stochastic. In this case, stochastic isn't really telling us anything. So let's go ahead and remove that. Okay, so here's our overall analysis for AUD. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. Okay, if there are no more questions, let's go ahead and move on to our next currency pair. Okay, so now let's take a look at dollar CAD. So similarly, I'm going to start off with our weekly time frame to get an overview of the general trend. So here we have an upward trend. There's a parallel channel here with price recently breaking out of our parallel channel. Okay, so now let's take a look at our daily time frame. Okay, we can see there is a trend line here as well. So for a valid channel, we need 2 touches on the top of price as well as on top of the channel and 2 touches on the bottom. So in this case, we can see that price has touched the top of our channel multiple times. On the bottom, it has touched 3 times as well. So this is a valid channel. And we can see price has broken out of this channel. So we have a general bullish bias on dollar CAD. So let's zoom into our 4-hour time frame. Okay, since we know the general trend of of price, let's pull out some support and resistance levels. So to start, here is a swing low support. So for support and resistance levels, you want to look for levels for multiple swing lows that line up. In this case, we have, let me pull out my brush. We have a swing low over here, and we have a swing low over here as well. So this makes it a pretty strong support level, and we will support this level with Fibonacci levels in just a bit. So now I'm looking for a resistance level. Okay, so over here, I've drawn 2 lines. Let's start with the bottom one. So this one's closer to current price, and the reason why I've chosen this to be our first resistance is because, let me zoom in. You can see price has tested this level multiple times, and then it has pulled back to this level. And we have multiple swing lows over here. Okay, so this is our first resistance. So let's take a look at our second resistance. So similarly, why have I chosen this specific level? Because price has tested this level, but it's also become an overlap resistance because this is a swing low, which is in line with a swing high. So this makes it a pretty strong area of resistance because of all of these swing lows and swing highs lining up, as well as price repeatedly retracing back to this level. Okay, so now let's pull out some Fibonacci levels to support our analysis. So I can see over here, my 100% Fibonacci projection level lines up with my first resistance level. So for Fibonacci projection, you want to look for a flash symbol like this so that we can predict where price will hit next. So this is pretty close to price. So let's see if I can find a level that lies in line with our second resistance. Okay, so my negative 27.2% Fibonacci extension is in line with my second resistance. So I'm going to remove the other levels. So this is a key area of resistance because the strong resistance level is in line with, is supported by a Fibonacci level. Okay, so because of this, we can say that once price, let me delete this so it's cleaner. So once price breaks through our first resistance level, we can expect price to rise towards our second resistance. And once price has reached our second resistance, there's a high chance that because of the confluence area, that price could reverse off of this level. But of course, price first needs to break our first resistance and reach our second resistance before it can bounce, before it can reverse off it. Okay, so now let's pull out some indicators. So we can see here our Ichimoku cloud indicator shows us a bullish bias, and this supports our analysis because price is moving above the Ichimoku cloud. So now let's take a look at MACD. For MACD, we can see price is showing us a green area, which also gives us a bullish bias. Okay. So now for RSI, we can actually see a bit of a divergence over here. Okay, let me just change the color so it's clearer. So you can see from the purple dotted line, so on our RSI, price is actually moving upwards, or rather there is an upward trend line, whereas on our charts, price has a decreasing trend line. So these are one of the clues that you can use to see whether there is an upward pressure. So in this case, we can see price did increase from this level over here. So we want to take note of this area over here. Okay, so far all of our indicators support our analysis, which is great. So if you have any questions so far, feel free to leave them in the chat, or you can type it out in the Q&A section as well. Okay, if there are no questions, let's move on. Okay, let's move on to euro dollar. Okay, so same thing, we're gonna start on a weekly time frame just to get a general idea of the trend. So we can see price recently broke out of our descending trend line. Okay. So price recently broke out of this trend channel. But if we zoom in, we can see price is kind of where's my brush? Okay, here. It's making a reversal at this level. Okay, so we can see there's a support level over here, this area over here. So let's go ahead and zoom in to our daily time frame. Okay, similarly, we can see price breaking out of the channel. Okay, now let's zoom into our 4-hour time frame. Okay, I can't really force a channel over here, but we can see there was a general upward trend followed by a reversal at this swing high here. So we have a general bearish bias. So let's pull out some support and resistance levels. Now I'd like to zoom out as much as possible so that I can see where are the stronger support and resistance levels. Okay, so at where price currently is, we have a swing high over here, and price has pulled back to this level, making it a overlap support. Okay, so now let's look for small levels. Okay, so here we have a swing high that lies in line with another swing high and a swing low. So this makes it an overlap support level. So I'm going to label this as my first support level. And because this swing high is quite significant, let me zoom out. So this, I'll label this as my first resistance. Okay, so now let's pull out some Fibonacci levels to support our analysis. Okay, so we can see our 50% Fibonacci retracement level lies closely to our support level over here, 1.07799. Let me just label this. So this should be our second support. Okay. So over here, I can see a inverted 90 tick. So let's see if we can find any levels. So for an inverted 90 tick, we're looking for the above 100 levels, so 127.2 and 161.8. So in this case, we can also see that the 127.2% Fibonacci level lies together with our first support and the 50% Fibonacci retracement. So let me just highlight this area. So because we have two Fibonacci levels lined up, as well as a pretty strong first support level, this is a confluence area. So we can expect price to either break through this level and then hit toward our 161.8 level, or we can see price bouncing off of this level and heading toward our first resistance. Okay. So let's pull out some indicators to see if we can figure out whether there is a downward pressure or an upward pressure. So previously we analyzed the weekly as well as daily time frames, so we get a general idea of the trend, and we saw that price actually has a downward pressure on the weekly and daily time frames. So we can expect price to break through our first support. Let me remove this. Also, because price moves below our Ichimoku cloud, so it supports our bearish bias. So for MACD, there is a red area as well. So this further supports our bearish bias. On RSI, we see a descending trend line. So this also supports our bearish bias. And now let's pull out stochastic. Stochastic doesn't really tell us much in this case. So let's go ahead and remove that. Okay. So we have three indicators that all line up together with our analysis. So once we have downside confirmation that price is going to move towards our 161.8 level. And how do we know this? Is when price officially breaks through this confluence area. Then we can go in for a sell. So you can go in for a sell toward the 161.8. Otherwise, you can go ahead and go straight for our second support at 1.04810 level. Okay. So similarly, feel free to go ahead and pop into the chat if you have any requests or any questions. If not, I'll go ahead and move on. Okay, seems like we don't have any questions. Okay, so let's go ahead and do crude oil. Okay, so same thing. I'm gonna start from weekly time frame. So you can see price broke through this upward trend line. On the daily, let's see if we have a descending trend line. Okay, so we can see price recently broke out of our descending trend channel. Let's see if I have a trend channel here. Excuse me. Okay, no. So we recently broke out of our descending trend channel, and now let's zoom into our 4-hour time frame. Okay, so on our 4-hour time frame, price is moving within the descending trend channel. So we would expect price to continue in our descending trend channel. So we also have a descending trend line because of the 3 significant touches. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull out some resistance and support levels. So for our first support level, I'm going to leave it over here at our most recent swing low. Okay. Now for our resistance, okay, we can see price has tested this level many times. So this makes it a pretty strong resistance. Okay, because it's an overlap resistance with a swing low as well as multiple swing highs all lying in line with each other. And my entry over here. Okay, so this will be my first support as well as my second support. Okay, So now let's pull out some Fibonacci levels. So here we have the 127.2% Fibonacci extension lying in line with our second support. So this could be a key level. However, let me zoom in. Price hasn't broken our first support yet. So we should wait for price to break through our first support level to get downside confirmation before going in for a sell towards our 127.2% level. Okay. Okay, so I can see my 127.2%. Oh, sorry. So over here, I have a flash symbol. So I'm using our Fibonacci expansion, which uses the negatives, negative 27.2 and negative 61.8. So I can see my negative 27.2 also lines up with the 127.2. So that makes this a pretty strong confluence area. So we can expect price to reverse from this area. But of course, before we do anything to this area, we have to wait for price to break through our first support level at 73.17. Okay. Okay, so now let's pull out some indicators. So on our Ichimoku cloud, we can see price is moving below the cloud, which supports our bearish bias. Okay, pull out MACD. So we can see on MACD, we have a red area as well, supporting our bearish bias. RSI. So we can see over here, RSI is giving us a negative trend line. Okay. So it also supports our negative bias. Sorry, our bearish bias. So over here, we can see price between this to this price here. Right? So over here on our charts, price is actually in line with 3 multiple swing highs. But on our RSI, if we take a look here, there is actually a descending trend line. So we can call this a divergence. And it's a clue that price could actually move in a descending trend, which in the end we can see it did. So with all of the downward pressure, we can say that price is going to continue in the descending trend line or the descending channel, but we should wait for price to break through our first support before going in for any sells. Okay. So we have time for one more chart analysis. So let's do DXY. So similarly, start with weekly. We can see price has dropped from this swing high level over here. But we can also see that price is kind of reversing off of this support level here. So we could have a bullish bias over here. But let's take a look at our daily time frame. Okay, similarly, price has bounced off of this support level. Okay. So here we have a descending trend channel that price has recently broken out of. Okay, so we have a bullish bias over here. So let's look for support and resistance levels. Okay, so here we have a first resistance. And that resistance level is actually significant because price has tested this level multiple times. And we have a few swing highs in this area. So for swing low, I'll put it over here because it's in line with multiple swing lows and it's also a pullback support level. Okay. So let's pull out our Fibonacci levels. So over here, I have a really nice Nike tape. So price has passed our 127.2% level and is heading towards our 161.8 level. So we can actually take note of this level because we have two swing lows lying in line. And it's in line with our 161.8% Fibonacci extension. Okay. Here we can see I have a 61.8% Fibonacci projection level in line with our first support. So since price has broken the 127.2% as well as the first resistance level, we can expect price to head towards this important confluence area over here. So for take profit, you want to typically put it before your confluence area. So anywhere between the 168 and within the blue area would be good. And then for our stop loss, you could have it over here at our swing high. Okay, so now let's take a look at some indicators. So now Ichimoku cloud, with price moving above our Ichimoku cloud, it supports our bullish bias. For MACD, with the green area, it also supports our bullish bias. And now let's take a look at RSI. Okay, we can see price is moving above. It's moving within a ascending trend line. So it also supports our bullish bias. Let's check stochastic. Okay, we can see price has actually stayed at this level for the previous two swing highs, and it has only just recently broken out of this resistance level and headed above it. So it also supports our bullish bias. Okay. If you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat or in the Q&A section. But other than that, thank you guys so much for coming to today's webinar. And if there's nothing else, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.